What's going on, folks? My name is Joshua Smith. I'm a realtor in Tennessee and Alabama. If you're in the Nashville area, that's where I live and work. I've got this bar we just opened in Madison, Tennessee. It's called the Lucky Nut. You should go check us out. You're visiting in town, you live in town, especially if you live over in Madison. It's a new place to see live music, have a few great drinks. There's a taco truck out there. Usually some kind of a food truck will always be out there. Be on the lookout. Come to the Lucky Nut. I'd love to see you there. Now, switching over to what this video is all about. This is going to be a market update for the greater Nashville area. I'm going to look at Nashville, Franklin, which is in Williamson County, and Hendersonville, which is just north of the greater Nashville area. It's included in the greater Nashville area. It's north of Davidson County. It's in Sumner County. And it's a little bit of a smaller market, but a comparable price point to average homes in greater Nashville. So let's take a look at some market activity, some pricing updates, and whatever else I could see at this point in January 2026. The reports for January are going to come out probably next month, but I'd like to always kind of keep an eye on what's happening month over month. It definitely has felt a lot warmer, so it's worth checking in. Stay tuned. What's up? My name is Joshua Smith. I'm with the Home Agent Group. I want to talk to you about what you're up to and how we can expand together.
To be honest with you, and you can cut this. What's the highlight of our entire trip?
So the first thing we're going to look at is this snapshot, this sort of overview. This is, how pricing has changed from December 2024 to December 2025. Again, I don't have the current January data, but I can say just from working this past month and seeing, hosting a couple open houses and seeing where things are, people are definitely getting out there and interested in buying homes a little bit more so than they have been in the recent months this past winter. As you can see, 23, 24, 25, we've definitely had an increase in average sales price, which is interesting. This is a buyer's market, but we're still seeing these prices on average continue to climb just a little bit year over year, which in my opinion is to be expected. This is a strong and healthy real estate market, so I don't anticipate prices coming down anytime soon, even though rates are still, a little higher than they were during the pandemic. I feel like we're at least at a point that we were prior to that. 6 points for most mortgages, that's pretty average to what we were seeing in the past. So will it come down in the future? Who knows? What's stopping you from buying? I don't know. I'd love to know because it does seem like we have a lot less activity. There are a ton of listings on the market. Let's just move over before I get too deep into this. Let's look at this timeline. So we already saw the average close price. So just so you can sort of see what you're looking at here, Nashville is the blue line in the middle. Hendersonville is the red line on the bottom. Franklin is that green line on the top. So taking a look at all of these, month over month. Is this just for the last year? Let's look at the last 3 years at least. Because what you're going to see are these trends. I kind of talk about this in every time I do one of these market updates. But basically, this has been pretty flat for this whole last year in terms of these prices. But we are definitely up from previous years, as you saw in the year-over-year snapshot from before. Now, this is the average sale price, the average list price / under contract is slightly, Nashville versus, this is the Nashville closed versus Nashville under contract. These two lines, the red and blue that are going together. So you can see this list price and the actual sale price, the sales prices are lower. That's what I would expect to see. All of these are doing that. So this up here, this is Franklin at the top. That's the highest price point. Nashville's right in the middle. Hendersonville's down here. I feel like, every one of these is doing the same exact thing over the last year. And even last year it was doing the same sort of thing. But yeah, since December 2024 to December 2025, the sales price is lower than the list price. seeing agents still list properties, specifically sellers wanting to list their property for all the value that they know that they have, or that they think that they have sometimes from recent years during those COVID years when everybody was offering $100,000 over asking. That's just not happening anymore. And that's the one way that this buyer's market is impacting this market, is homes are typically selling for less than they're listed for. One thing I would encourage buyers to do in this market is just make an offer. You see a house that you like, you think it's listed for too much, don't sit around and wait for that price to drop. Go ahead and make the offer if you're ready, if you know that you like it, and just offer less than what they're asking. All that's going to happen is you're going to negotiate. And you're also putting yourself at the top of the list for potential buyers for that listing. Because there's nothing keeping that seller from taking it off the market, nothing keeping that seller from not coming down on their price point. These are things to keep in mind for buyers that are currently looking on the market right now. And sellers, same kind of thing. My advice to sellers right now is, keep it listed at a comparable value to what the sales are. And if those sales aren't going down in value necessarily, then you don't necessarily need to come down in value on your list price. But don't expect those buyers to just make offers. That's one thing that I am seeing is if you're listed for what is perceivably higher than what other comparable listings are selling for, then it's that those buyers are not making offers on those properties right now as much. I've had a couple of listings that just sat around for a long time these last few months, 6 months or so, and that was the case. We never had any offers until we dropped down to a price point where buyers feel like the perceived value is, even if that I don't agree that that's where the value actually was. And often in two of those scenarios, we did get offers or ended up selling it over the asking price. So a few different ways to strategize on how to approach this market, but those are some of the things that I'm seeing in real time. So let's come down here and look at the actual market activity. These are the humps that you see year over year all the time. We are definitely December year over year. We were going up until 2024, and although in 2024 we did see a larger volume of activity, new listings, we're seeing a lot less new listings now. And I think that's because homes have been sitting on the market for a lot longer. Let me just pull up days on market here. So average days on market, this is all over the place. But generally speaking, December is going to be higher days in the market just throughout the winter months. It's all increasing. There's not a single one of these markets from December last year to December this year that hasn't dramatically increased. This is what we're seeing in terms of why we're in this buyer's market. Is I think it's rates that are keeping people from buying homes potentially, and I think that as a result, these homes are just sitting out for a lot longer. And whether people are waiting for those rates to come down, for the prices of the homes of those listings rather to drop, again, there's a push and a pull between what buyers want and what the sellers want. And even though you want to buy low, if you want to sell high, you also have to maintain the value of the market overall. I'm not saying that we should be buying homes for more than they're worth at all, but appraisal values are coming in at value. The values of homes are consistently increasing still year over year. So that should sound good to sellers, but at the same time, if you're a seller and you're listed way over value, you're just not going to get any offers more than likely. But that doesn't mean that you have to list for way under what the value is, because you could end up shooting yourself in the foot and not getting the offers over what that asking price is. And if you're thinking of listing in this market, pay attention to what those comps are and try to be consistent, and think about the updates that you can make and are willing to make for your place in that home right now and what you're willing to do before you go and list, because those updates are still going to be of a benefit for you when you go to list your property and sell it. So these are the average days on market. We looked at that compared to market activity. I do want to pull up this market inventory. Super low but maintaining average in terms of the last 3 years in Franklin and Hendersonville. Nashville just continues to go up, and it's a much broader area. Nashville is almost all of Davidson County, I've said before, so you're going to see a higher volume of listings in that kind of market. Let me look at these pricing trends again. So overall, we've seen an increase, and this is from month to month calculation type. Let me look at 12-month rolling. It's taking it a minute to load here. How about those predators, huh? Okay. Yeah. So gradual increase year over year. Buying a house in Franklin in Williamson County, that's just going to cost you a lot more than living in Davidson County or Sumner. Doesn't mean that the price has gone down anywhere. Now look at this. Nashville actually is pretty flatlined. So year over year, they have only increased 0.1% in Nashville. That's such a small increase, but it is an increase. It's positive because there for a minute, values, like look over here in Sumner 2023, we were barely going up. We went down a little bit for sure. There's a -4 in Hendersonville, -0.04. Still not, a major decrease, but it was a decrease. Currently, we're looking at that's a pretty good increase. Hendersonville has gone up by a point. Franklin went up by almost a 1.5. Nashville, 0.1. So again, very little. Inventory has skyrocketed in Nashville, and it's not going down in these other markets either. And I think if I put a bunch of other locations on the map, you'd see the same thing, because inventory just across the board continues to climb. Now this is active inventory. Let's look at the total inventory. All continuing to go up. So, these are active, under contract. Where's the days on market? Did I look at that already? Yeah, days on market obviously continuing to grow. These are 3 years, 12-month rolling. So this is a better snapshot of year over year how much we've increased since 2022. That's massive. Franklin was 13 in 2022, and today it's 33 days on market. So for sellers, doesn't matter where you are effectively in this area, houses are going to sit for a lot longer. Now, none of this paints a bleak picture for me. I think that for the most part, in terms of how we should be looking at all of this information, even though homes are sitting on the market for longer, they're still selling for greater on average than they have been. Values continue to increase according to sales of homes. So that's a good thing. But in your neighborhood, on your street, for the type of home that you have, this is just general information. So this needs to be treated on a case-by-case basis. But in terms of how to play this market correctly, in my opinion, you just have to price proportionately to the comparable listings around you within that 1, maybe 2 mile radius. And right now it's going to be harder to find the value, even more so than the past, because there are less sales happening and there's a lot more inventory, less demand effectively. It's going to be harder to find value for a unique property, for one that does not have a lot of comps. So working with agents right now, professionals being in this marketplace, paying, even if you don't want to sell with an agent, partnering with someone on the front end to gather a price. I'm consulting directly with clients. Doesn't have to be on a percentage basis. It can be on consultation basis for specific fees, for broker price opinions. There's different services that brokers, that agents can provide to help sellers come and meet this market in the middle, in the right spot, and put your home in the best position to be able to sell as quickly as possible. There's some new tools that Zillow provides for advertising that that I'm behind for now. I like those tools. I am promoting, some of what they're promoting and working with my listings and my clients using those tools. Homes.com has some good tools as well. They're different brands. They have a different reach, a different audience reach, which is all very good. But these are ways that you can partner with agents to try to get homes to sell for quicker, for higher price points, for closer to what really the home value should be, and all of that. It's a more efficient way and a more managed way of getting your homes sold. All that said, for buyers, it's still a buyer's market. So keep looking. But, at the end of the day, like I said before, I think the one mistake that I'm seeing buyers make right now is they seem to be waiting on prices to come down. I mean, that's the feedback I'm getting from buyers agents. When I have listings, I'm like, hey, what's going on? You said the buyer loved it. Yeah, well, they want to wait and see what you're going to do with the price because they think it's still a little bit too high. And I always encourage them, just tell them to make an offer, Well, they're going to keep looking and see what else pops up. Okay. I mean, if people aren't ready to pull the trigger, I totally understand that. But waiting for prices to come down from where they are, at least on my listings, I'm not really pulling the prices down often, if at all. I'm only doing it based on current market conditions for the comps for that home. So if you treat it on a case-by-case basis, it doesn't make sense to just drop the price to see if you can find new buyers within a new price point. It's not the same as if you're listing a property in a super active market. So I think that might be one of the competing interests that would be worth thinking about if you're a buyer or a seller on this market, is try to meet that other party where they are to make the best deal happen for both of you. If you win and they win, everybody wins. It's going to be smooth sailing for that deal. Whereas if things start off contentious, that's how you set the deal up. It's like anything. The first impression is how people are going to see you through the rest of the process. And I'm always a fan of trying to be kind and reasonable. Not to say that I don't drive a hard bargain and negotiate the hell out of a deal as needed, but because you always make your money on the purchase, right? So I've explained that many times, so I'm not going to run all the details through that again. But the idea is try to figure out how to get into that deal for the house that you want. Meet that other party, those sellers, those buyers, where they are for what their needs are, and then you can make something happen from there, and you can make that money on the purchase as your goal, so that you're setting yourself up to be in the best position for that asset in the future, as an investor and just as a homeowner, right? That's all I got for today. A bunch of unsolicited advice, but that might be why you came here. If not, hopefully you got what you needed out of a market report. I will see you next time in the next one of these, or next video that I do. Thanks for watching.